How's your approach when you say you're coming into maybe a more rural or conservative area? You're as far as like audiences, you can come in, the idea is connection, and then you kind of tweak around that. Okay, I can see where they are, but how do you approach it from, say, someplace you're comfortable and someplace you're not comfortable?
I mean, honestly, I think it's the same. I think that my process is kind of like, okay, like how much time do I have? And always, Denver is a very punchy city, and that's where I came up in comedy. And so I always have in the back of my head, like, what's our word count? What's our, kind of what's our like jokes per minute? Like, what's our, what I mean? Kind of our metrics around the laughter.
They're very, like, structured, I guess.
And then, so, like, kind of having that in mind, thinking about my time and what would fill that time. And then out of that, I try to just pick the things that I need to pick at least, like, 3 fence posts, if you will, of jokes that, like, even if they're not A jokes yet, even if they might be a risk for that audience, if that is the joke that I want to tell, if that is the silly that I have in me that wants to be silly that day, then I have to do it. Because if I don't, then there's kind of this other creative part of me that's just like, well, now we're gonna do nothing.
Well, it's like it comes through in the performance somewhat.
And so I need to find my silly. What do I want today that's silly? Like tonight, I was just like, I don't know. Are they gonna like the Clitler bit? I don't know, but we're gonna run it.
I already like it.
It's a fun one. I really love that joke. And so, just thinking about what do I want to run, and then I like to do my research. So as much as I think that there is a beauty to a really rehearsed and structured set, I think that to not be so canned, I like to reserve a little space for a really lovely comic in Denver, John Novosad, who, if you ever get the pleasure of working with, I really recommend you do so. He's such a class act, and he's such a fun, goofy guy, and he's also just a brilliant writer. He does often a piece in his sets, and he'll announce it where he's like, and now it is time for our daily bit. Like it's like this is the daily paper, essentially, and he'll just kind of recount little things that he wrote right before his set, or things from that day, or things about the room. And he will literally place it in the set. And I think that is, and even the announcement of it, he finds a cute, charming way to do it. And I love that. And I think that is a wonderful tactic to not be so canned, is to give yourself just that 60 to 120 seconds to be like, I found out about Oklahoma State bird, and here's a thing about wine, and what I mean, like, what is the room that I'm in? Where am I at regionally? What am I noticing? Or even like, what did I do today? I was at a show, one of my last headline sets, I went to an amusement park earlier in the day, and I did a bit just about being on an amusement park and not knowing what my scream sounds like, because I hadn't been on a roller coaster for 10 years. And so my scream used to be a teenage girl scream. And now we are an adult man. And so what is that? And like, they loved it. And it was a really great bit concept, and it needed to,
I mean, because I don't
breathe,
obviously, it's like, I mean, as a straight cis man, like, I don't think too much about the transitioning, but then that part of it, very specific thing, is very funny to think about.
Same, right? And like, so it was cool to kind of have space within a set to just air that out, even if the punches weren't quite there yet. They could tell it was fresh, but the concept was still funny. It gave an element of like nowness to my performance, and to just the kind of the room. And I think that giving, don't make it your whole set. Don't go off on a 10-minute tangent that you haven't tested at a show, but if you have like a couple little, and you're like, ooh, I thought of this on the way, give yourself space to do them in between your actual bits. And I would say, bookend them with strong bits. So if I go in with an A bit, and then I kind of give myself that little 2 minutes to do, whatever, especially if you have the time, if you're like lucky enough to have a feature or headline set, give yourself those minutes, and then be able to bookend it with like, all right, and here's another really good zinger for you, and pick them back up in case it absolutely bombs.
That's a good, definitely, it's definitely a good like kind of structure for that, because we talk to a lot of comics. I mean, mostly comics that are from here, but we know quite a few comics that will do that kind of similar thing, but maybe not so structured in that same way. That's something about what you mentioned about Denver. Like, what's it like doing comedy in Denver? I guess, I mean, I don't know if you've done comedy. I mean, you obviously performed comedy in other places, but what are kind of the differences? Like you mentioned, they're very like structured in that, like, the timing and word
Fast Punch
count.
City for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we've never really talked to Denver comics yet.
Underrated. There's a tremendous amount of
like
amazing talent coming out of Denver.
It's a great music town. I know that.
Yes,
yeah,
really, really vibrant in the arts.
I know Joe Barnholt. I think he's up there. Have you met him?
I don't know.
I met him
We
at
got a
Tower
couple
City
shows.
Comedy
Okay.
Festival.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Lovely. I was supposed to go to Tower City and I
Oh,
couldn't make it out because I was just like, oh no. I was like, it's okay, I'll fly out. And then I was like, there's no airport. And then I was like, oh no, and there's an airport, but it's 5 hours away. And then I would have to drive, and then I would have to rent a car. And then I was just like, last minute, I was like, I'm so sorry. It's the only festival that I've ever like basically dipped on, and I'm sad about it because I loved.
It was a good time.
Texas.
It was a good time. Yeah, I promise you were missed.
Bless.
Yeah. So you were saying how it's punchy there, and how's different in other places?
Oh gosh, I'd say there's a lot of crossover and similarities between scenes, in that most of them are very white dude and bro.
Yeah.
Most of them, really enjoy, like, they are built on comic culture, which is not necessarily centered around what audiences actually like. And comics really like dark stuff, and they really like roasty stuff, and so do I, right? But at the same time, I think that there is a cynicism that gets in people's way when it's purely comic built, and because the audience also wants whimsy, right? And we can't forget to kind of bring that cute silliness. You can't just like go up there and be cool and be funny and mean. You know what I mean? It's like, no, they also want to be given the permission to be silly with you, right? And so I think that that's a thing between like Denver and other spots. Both a pro and a con. It is not very friendly to storyteller comedians. People want one-liners. That is what is prized, especially in, we have a good number of comedy clubs. We have a lot of really wonderful, like I call them kind of mid-range shows of like brewery shows and bar shows, and like we're at a cidery, and we're at a I don't know, right? Like it's a cool underground barbershop show, like stuff like that,
nice.
right? Which is great, and I really love those types of venues, and so I think that storytellers can have an edge there coming up there, because like if you learn to be a storyteller comic in a Fast Punch City, you do very well in other cities.
Yeah, you can kind of,
you can hold, people are like, wow, you wove that together so well. And you're like, oh my God, I've been sweating trying to like plug punchlines into that for like a year.
It's so much harder to practice that there. So you're probably going to get better at it there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But Denver does a wonderful job of cranking out amazing comedy writers, because people want fresh content and they want fast content.
Yeah.
And so, we're seeing Hannah Jones and Sammy Anzer are just amazing. Lee Robinson, we just lost to New York. Love you, Lee. Also, similarly, they're just incredible. Chanel Hughes, I swear, is gonna blow up. I think that she's one of the funniest people I've ever seen. She's so good. So good, so funny. Just builds audience rapport like no other. And so there's a lot of Sam Elfson, also great comic, and there's just too many to name, because we're pulling out really, really good people, and oftentimes we're losing them to New York and LA, which makes sense. Shout out BK, I love you, we miss you. I'd say that like it's nice, it's very competitive, but there is still a warmness to the scene. All scene has drama. Everybody has a club that they have beef with. That's pretty standard across like scene by scene.
Yeah, just
yes,
you got to.
classic. That's what makes it interesting.
We've got like 5
sometimes.
people here, so it's we just take turns.
Nice. Take turns hating each other. Denver City is that way too. That's right. It's just a bigger community. But I think that those are kind of the defining things of Denver. I wish that we're starting to get more and more out of town people that come and tour through. And I wish that we were more welcoming to it, because it would benefit our scene as well, for other folks to know that there's such good work coming out of the state.
Something that we don't hear too much about Denver. Especially because it's like we were talking about, it's not that far from Oklahoma City. And we hear all the time about Austin, and obviously, Austin is huge now, I think, for comedy, but that's fairly close here too. So a lot of people will go down there to try it out, and go for a week or whatever and try out some of the clubs. But Denver is like another place. It's like we should check, more of us should go up there and
so many mics, so many
visit.
opportunities to get on stage, so many shows, and so many amazing comedians to really learn from. And there's scenes kind of all up and down the state because Colorado Springs has their own thing,
exactly.
Denver has their own thing, and Fort Collins kind of has their own thing. And we also share a lot of comics because they're only about an hour apart.
Yeah, you can
that's
do
not bad.
multiple.
A little real quick train.
Exactly.
I mean, similar to here in Tulsa, honestly. Yeah, we do a lot.
So your sister still lives there, right?
Yeah,
we'll be down there. You wanna say what's up?
That's what I was
man,
gonna say.
come
We need to make a trip up there before long.
Come through. There's a lot happening, and I'm surprised at how good the content is very consistently, and I'm very proud to have like come up in the Denver scene, even though it is like hard and competitive and has its own toxicity as all scenes do. I'm definitely proud to have come up around those other comedians I really admire.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Steel sharpens steel.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the best way.
That's right.